Hello out there, casual fanatics. Jeremy here, and this one's kind of special. It's not your typical vlog, kind of a cross blend between a vlog and a shadow shoots, because recent events in a Pathfinder group that I'm a part of kind of brought this to my mind. We're going to talk D&D alignments. Now, D&D alignments, everybody's got an opinion on how they work and how they're supposed to be used for roleplay purposes. Basically, everybody, as the saying goes, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and many of them stink. So, here are my opinions on them, and again, I'm going to try and explain why I'm doing this a little bit later, because it actually reflects a couple of specific alignments. The first thing is, just speaking as a player, and also someone who's been a GM once, although I didn't have to come across this particular issue at the time, there is one alignment that I absolutely hate to play with, that I would never play myself, and that if another player was in my group, because of experiences, I may just go to the GM and either say, look, either they've got to go or I do. That is chaotic evil. Alright, so we're kind of working up and to the left here on our alignments. The reason why I say this is because chaotic evil gets a little tough to define sometimes. But a lot of the time when it's being played, and in my experience, about the only time I've ever seen chaotic evil actually played, it is pretty much played under the notion of, fuck you, I do what I want. Chaotic evil is the alignment of dicks. Chaotic evil is the alignment of people who just give no fucks whatsoever. So it's often said on the internet that if superheroes and villains had alignments, that the Joker would be chaotic evil. But very oftentimes, people who are playing chaotic evil play what's colloquially known as chaotic stupid. Basically, yeah, you're not particularly keen on the law, but your actions still are just, what the hell? You know, it gets to a point sometimes where some of these characters, even Heath Ledger's Joker, would be like, why so stupid? You know? If you are going to play chaotic evil, or any of the chaotic alignments, you really have to think about, yeah, they don't care much about law, but it's not because they're complete morons. It's just because they don't think that the law is the best way to work things. And especially with chaotic evil, you can't just, throw common sense out the window just because I'm an evil guy, Chaotic evil is usually reserved for villains, for a good reason. Neutral evil, kind of the same deal, a little more playable, in my opinion, than chaotic evil, because you're not entirely against the law, but you don't particularly care for it either. So you're willing to, you're basically just out for yourself, but at the same time you're not out to fuck all the things. Again, not an alignment I would play or want to play with, just my personal sensibilities, because it can very easily shoot off to the right. It can very easily slip into chaotic evil, and that's not a good thing. Now, I have several times played with people who were playing lawful evil characters. Matter of fact, I had one lawful good cleric who was fighting with someone who was a devotee of the 4E god Asmodeus. was just basically Satan, but it was lawful evil. Why is lawful evil more workable than neutral evil or chaotic evil? Because lawful evil is the evil you can depend on, for lack of a better phrase. Lawful evil is the tyrant. Lawful evil is the person who believes in order and structure, but also believes that it doesn't matter how you maintain that order. They're the people who go to any lengths to make sure that the people who are on the bottom stay on the bottom and the people who are on the top stay on top. That's lawful evil. And yeah, it's a shitty thing, societally speaking, but player-wise, it means one very important thing. As long as you're not on the bad side of whatever code that they have, you are safe from them. If they swear to you that they're not going to kill you, betray you, or murder you, they're probably not lying. Although it does sometimes lead for some awkward moments. For instance, in the aforementioned session where I was playing a lawful good cleric and there was a lawful evil fighter, Asmodean fighter, I accidentally, before a gladiatorial combat, told him, "May Paler's light go with you." Oops. If I'd have gotten to stay any longer with that session, because unfortunately after that I had to move on, I may have just changed that to her looking awkwardly and then going, "Good luck." You know, faux pas once, shame on me. Faux pas twice, double plus shame on me. I know that's not how the saying goes. That's how it went in this case. But yeah, lawful evil is the evil that you can depend on. It's still evil, yes, and I have gone on record on many times saying that when given the choice between two evils, you should find a way to not choose evil. But when it comes to a party, I would rather have a good character working with a lawful evil character than neutral or chaotic, because with the lawful evil character, they're reliable. You know, they're not good guys, and they're gonna try and do stuff to fuck over the good side of things. But they're gonna leave alone. As long as you help them obtain their goals and don't get in their way, you're gonna be fine. Now, moving up a line into the neutral alignments. Chaotic neutral is, again, one that I have problems with. Because it kind of has a similar problem to chaotic evil, with a difference. The problem with chaotic neutral is that it is without respect to law or morality. They hate the powers that be, and they don't give a fuck if what they're doing is good or bad. This can cause problems. It is a very, very difficult alignment to try and play, because on the one hand, doing whatever you want can make you end up doing good things, and you might end up sliding upwards into chaotic good. On the other hand, if you're a dick, you are probably going to find yourself doing something that will drop you down into chaotic evil. And that is where the reason for this video comes in. Story time, kids. Not too long ago, in the Pathfinder group that I'm a part of, full of great people I may add, there was this one player who had a chaotic neutral tiefling blood rager. And he was chaotic neutral. And he basically played it as, I'm gonna do whatever I want, you know? Well, there was one session where my character, a neutral, good, noble bard warlord rather, of noble birth, this is important, was on a mission with him, some associates that she had met previously as well. And unbeknownst to her, it was a mission to go and slay a paladin that was sent by it was a mission sent by vampires to slay a paladin who was screwing with their nomming habits. Well, Aurenia, of course, goes in just hearing, okay, there's this paladin that seems to be misusing his powers. So she, being a little bit more of an intelligent sort, kind of wants to find out what's going on. So when they arrive at this church / orphanage, again, important detail, her being the noble diplomat kind of person is trying to talk and wanting to get some information, see what's going on, seeing if the job's worth it or not, only to be interrupted by the Blood Rager going up to the person she was trying to talk to with sword drawn. Predictably, the NPC freaked out, called an alarm, and absconded, leaving us to battle the defenders of the church. Suffice it to say, my character was in moral conflict at this point because, on the one side, yes, it was suspicious that they suddenly had an alarm to raise, but on the same time, this one person that she had grown a begrudging respect for previously for having saved her life twice had blatantly gone up to someone who was unarmed, bearing a sword, looking menacingly, with clearly killer intent. After a few rounds of her battling with this, I ultimately decided I was going to have her leave, only to have a celestial hyena sent after her. So, of course, now her hand is forced. She has to at least defend herself against this. And she does. So, at this point now, okay, clearly she's committed to a fight. Not but 2 turns after that, the Blood Rager. The currently chaotic neutral Blood Rager. Again, currently key detail. Takes a full round action to throw lightning bolts at 2 of the orphans from this church that were trying to escape, killing them instantly. By contrast, there was one kid who actually was armed with a small knife that tried to attack one of the other characters. A similarly aligned character went and disarmed the kid, subdued him in a non-fatal manner, and sent the kid on his way. Because that other character has some sense. Not a lot. He does act stupid quite a bit, but he has enough sense. Enough sense that I actually like that character as opposed to the child murderer. Suffice it to say, at this point when this guy shot those 2 orphans, it was ruled that his alignment went straight down. Chaotic neutral went straight into chaotic evil because he killed innocents in cold blood. You know, no debate about that. And to compound his error, as soon as combat was done, my character, who again had full view of this, looks at all of the comrades that were there and decides that her conscience cannot allow her to continue. So she leaves to go report this to the authorities because, again, noble, neutral good, very honorable sort, probably about this far from lawful good. And the Blood Rager decides to shoot her with a lightning bolt to the back. Now, thankfully, he rolled bad enough damage that my character stayed upright, but even so, it was enough for him to get bitch slapped by one of the other characters who, despite being evil herself, still realized that my character was sticking to her principles. My character was not in the mood for a fight. My character was doing the honorable thing by leaving. Now, there is kind of a happy ending to this story because the very next combat, of course, was against the aforementioned paladin. And because that character was dropped down to evil, one of the paladin's abilities did double damage against him. One shot killing him. Kind of a divine retribution, shall we say. This got that player mad because he's like, oh, no, my alignment shouldn't have dropped down then. No, my alignment shouldn't have dropped down then. You know, it wasn't an even act. They were threatening us. Keep in mind that he's trying to defend child murder and in character. And I had the shit fit about that for most of the weekend to the point where me, being the hypersensitive asshole that I am, just completely shut down any plans of playing Pathfinder that weekend. And, in fact, ultimately, he used another character and did even worse shit, this time attacking a PC while they were helpless and killing them. And that ultimately got him banned, which, thank God. But see, that's the danger of chaotic neutral. If you play it right, you might find yourself drifting upward towards chaotic good, or maybe less chaotic over into true neutral. But if you play it wrong, your GM will force your alignment to go straight down. And it's not going to end well for you. And since I mentioned it, let's move over to the left to true neutral. True neutral is probably about the worst alignment that I would play. It kind of fits the unaligned of 4E somewhat, although 4E's unaligned can kind of span lawful or chaotic through chaotic neutral, really. It's the one that doesn't hate the law, but doesn't particularly care for it either, and is entirely amoral. Does not give any consideration to whether their actions are good or bad. Again, kind of tricky to play. You might find yourself drifting up or down depending on your actions, which, by the way, I should mention, character alignment drift is not necessarily a bad thing. For the sake of the evolution of the character and how you're playing them, it may actually help you get a better handle on what their personality is. I'm just saying, if you're wanting to stick to an alignment, chaotic neutral and true neutral probably are not the alignments you're going to want to go with, because they are an incredible balancing act. You have to be just caring enough to be not evil, and just apathetic enough to not be good. You have to be just, lawful and honorable enough to not be chaotic, and be just selfish enough to not be lawful. Again, it's a hard one to describe, and an even harder one to play. On the other hand, one of an alignment that I would play without a doubt, because it just seems like one of the best alignments that I would ever want to play, is lawful neutral. Lawful neutral says, I have a code of honor, I have a code of ethics. It may not be necessarily the same as what is generally accepted as good, but it exists nonetheless, and I will stick to it. Any character who has kind of aspirations of nobility but is still somewhat amoral, without respect to the grander scheme of morals, falls in lawful neutral. You can have lawful neutral monks who are devoted to their particular art, but are not necessarily, say, they're not necessarily the first ones to jump in for charity. They're mostly concerned with their own spiritual enlightenment and the enlightenment of those who come to them to learn their art. Again, I would find that fun. I would totally do that. I've yet to actually play a character that is lawful neutral, I think. I have played some unaligned characters, but I think they actually drifted upward toward neutral good instead. But it's just so intriguing an alignment to me, because of the fact that it has it is a reasonable, honorable person who just doesn't give, I guess a reasonable, honorable person who thinks that morals are a personal choice. And for him, he chooses not to really give that much of a crap about them either way. Now, good alignments, of course, my sensibilities being what they are, I mostly play good alignments. I've yet to play chaotic good, and kind of have a little bit of an aversion toward the chaotic ones, just because I have some difficulty with the nature of, being completely opposed to the law. Being completely radical, which, considering some of the things that I talk about regularly on casual mode programming, I know, seems odd. But chaotic good is, again, they're kind of the revolutionary. They're the people who generally have hearts for others. They care about other people, but at the same time, they think the establishment's got it all wrong. They think they care about freedom, a greater freedom, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. We need our revolutionaries. Take care, though, if you play chaotic good, that you don't become the troll of the party. What I mean is, take care that you don't become the guy who is he's chaotic good, but he's so unpredictable that he will get his fellow PCs into dangerous situations just because he felt like it. That's starting to drift down into chaotic neutral territory, and if you're really not careful with that instinct, it may even drop you all the way down to chaotic evil. At least if you're playing with me as the GM. Because I'm not about to tolerate that kind of stuff. Neutral good, I actually tend to play this one more often than not, because it allows a little bit of room for play. It allows you to be respectful of the law, but at the same time, if the law is very clearly unjust, you have clear and open justification to say, hey, wait a minute, no, that's not cool. leave them alone. Again, lawful good is neutral good rather, is really a very liberating kind of alignment for me. Because honestly, in my real life, if I'm not true neutral, I think I'm neutral good. Because a lot of the law I have problems with. I have issues with authority. I respect most of it, but there are enough assholes out there that I have my issues with authority. So I tend to play neutral good characters more often than any other alignment because, again, of the flexibility between respecting the law and knowing when the law is a piece of shit. And last but not least, that brings us to lawful good. Now, I would play lawful good, and I have played lawful good in the past, as I mentioned earlier. And actually, the 4E version of Dinobot that I played, not the one that I made over the last couple of weeks, but the one that I actually played, was actually lawful good. And you can play lawful good and not be a dick. You don't have to be the Knight Templar who ruins everybody's fun. No, you just have to have a kind heart, a respect for the authority NPCs that are there, and the willingness to stand and fight for your comrades and for what you believe in. That's lawful good. It is that simple. You don't have to play lawful good as lawful dickhead. In fact, I would prefer you not. Because nobody wants to play with a person who thinks that goody-goody two-shoes equals insufferable asshole. You know, and just speaking for me personally, I learned karate when I was in my teenage years and was brought up learning that art and the philosophies that go with it. The philosophies of might for right rather than might makes right. It has still affected my outcome and my personality to this very day. So, whenever I play lawful good, I tend to play them more as the might for right kind of style. Because that's what I believe it should be. You know, maybe you're not working to buck the system, but you're working within the system to make things better for everyone. That's Paragon. That is lawful good. Lawful good is the kind of people that you want to aspire to be if you're a law-abiding citizen. They're the kind of people that you want to become. The kind of people who not just respect the laws of the land, but care about people as well, and use those laws to do good. So, I hope that some of the lesser played ones I've given some attention to, or maybe given you better ideas on how to play them. Again, if you ever play with me, please do not play Chaotic Evil, do not play Neutral Evil, and you might not want to play Chaotic Neutral. Because if you do something that, if you play Chaotic Dick, I'm not going to be happy, GM's not going to be happy, other players not going to be happy. I guarantee you that. Anyway, that's my thoughts on alignments in various different tabletop RPGs. Give me your thoughts on what you think. Let me know if you agree with my assertions, if you agree with my opinions, or what your opinions are. Because I want to start a discussion on this. And I know it's kind of a bit of a difficult discussion to have sometimes, but it's one worth having. So, until next time, I'm Jeremy. Keep it casual, y'all.